Hi and welcome to another 5-minute tutorial, and this time I will show you how you can offset tiles in a more flexible way than you can do in, let's say, the brick node. So we start right away by building the tiles. So I press Shift A, go to Input, select the texture coordinate, then I add a scale, so I press Shift A again, go to Converter and Vector Math, and there we have the scales. Okay, I select scale here, take that to the UV and put in like 5 or something like that. And after that we need something that change this into small portions, because 5 will only give 0 to 5, but we would like that to be repetitive. So if I change this into render view, as you can see now, then you can see with the fraction we get this. So now I just have to change that into tiles. So I will copy the fraction, Shift D, and change that to subtract, and I change this to 0.5 and 0.5 like this, and then I take this again, Shift D, and multiply by 2 like this, and I will then take this Shift D again and change this to an absolute, and I will finally do a Shift D again and do a subtract. I do this really quick because we have shown that before how you make these tiles here, and that is not the main thing in this tutorial. So finally I then subtract everything. So I select the separate XYZ like this and take a smooth minimum into this and take that to the base color, and now we have our tiles, and I can also add a map range. So Shift A, Converter, and we have a map range, and here I can just increase or decrease the from max. So now we have something that can be used as a tile wall, and what I would like to do is to offset these rows here. And if you looked at the last session, you understood that we can use floor to separate things, because then we can pick the integer part of scale. So we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but nothing between. And that means that we can use this to select the rows here as well. So if I select separate XYZ here, like this, and if I take the Y from the floor, take to the base color, you can see now that we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And what we can do is we can add a floor modulo. So if I add that into here and set the value for floor modulo to 2, and then change this to the base color, you will see that we get 0 here, 1 here, 0 here, 1 here, and so on. And that means that now every second row will have an offset. If I put this to 3, then you can see we get 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. And if I put it to 4, you get 0, 1, 2, 3. So that means that we get different values out from the floor modulo that we later on can use to change our tiles width. So all I have to do now is multiply this value with an offset. So I can just copy this one by pressing Shift D and do a multiply here and put it to like 0.2 or something like that. And I can put, first of all, just this to 2 again, just so you can see the difference. And if I now take this and subtract before I do all the math after the fraction here, so I just add a subtract here. So I can take the scale, Shift D, copy, but I do a subtract here, and then I need something to say that this should be in the x-axis, so I press Shift A again, go to Converter, and select Combine XYZ. Then I can take this to the x direction, and this to the subtract here, and now if I go to the original map range, we get an offset, as you can see. And if I change this multiply, you get bigger offsets, and if So you can see now it's every second row like this. But if I change the floor modulo to like 3, then you can see it changes for every third row. So it changes with this one, this one, this one, and then it begins again on the 4th row. So that means we now have a more flexible way than we have for like the brick node, for instance. And if I put it to 4, then you change for every 4th of these. But of course then you need a value that is rather small, and then you can see now that we have offset for these 4, and then it starts all over again. So it's a very flexible way to do the offset for these. And if you wanted to brick, then you just change the scale to a multiply instead. So if I put in a multiply here and put this to, let's say, 4 and this to 2, for instance, then you get it in this direction. And if I put it to 2 here and 4 here, I get it in this direction. And then I can put the scale before that if you want to. So Shift D and put in a scale here. And now we have it for bricks instead. So it's not just for tiles. You can do it as you want to. But the thing here is that you take the result out when you have done the scale and multiply, do a floor on it, separate in the Y direction right now if you want it to be in this direction. So you should think if you would do the offset in X, separate in Y. If you would like to do the offset in Y, separate in X. Then you use a floor modulo, and if you just want every second, just put 2 here, then you get every second. And then you can change that as you saw. And you add what multiply you would like to have, and then you take this in X. So if it's Y, you would like this to move in the X direction, and if it's X, you would like this to move in the Y direction. So it's always reverse between X and Y here. And put it in the subtract, and then you can do whatever math you want here. So it doesn't have to be tiles, it can be whatever. But this is how you do offset in tiles. So hopefully you learned something today as well. I just said bye for now and see you later.